to the death of George Floyd.
Say we got all four! We got all four! Say we got all four! We got all four!
That was the reaction in Minneapolis yesterday afternoon after the new charges were announced against all 4 ex-police officers. We got all 4, they're saying, connected to Floyd's death, which was a major demand of the protesters. Former officers Tu Tao, J. Alexander King, and Thomas Lane are all in custody this morning on charges of aiding and abetting murder. Anthony?
Former Officer Derek Chauvin is now accused of second-degree murder, which carries a stiffer penalty than the charges he was already facing. Jeff Pegues has been covering the story from Minneapolis, where he spoke with Floyd's brother and family attorney. Jeff, how are they reacting?
Well, Anthony, the family is relieved. They wanted to see these increased charges. They wanted to see all of the officers arrested and charged, and they wanted to see those mugshots. Family attorney Benjamin Crump called yesterday a tipping point for justice.
We have to have justice. They murdered him in broad daylight in front of everybody.
For George Floyd's brother Floyd'S, justice doesn't stop at arrests and an upgraded charge. He believes Derek Chauvin knew what he was doing and should face the most serious charge of first-degree murder.
When you look at that guy, when he was on his neck and they was pleading for their life, like, please, please, just let him breathe. Get off of him. Get off of him. He was just looking at them like they was in a cage or something, like, you can't get to me.
In announcing the decision yesterday, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said the charges are the first step. He asked the public for their confidence, even though history has shown the challenges of prosecuting police officers.
Every single link in the prosecutorial chain must be strong. It needs to be strong because trying this case will not be an easy thing. Winning a conviction will be hard.
But attorney Benjamin Crump believes the video will make it clear to any juror. Are you sort of putting the cart before the horse, raising expectations? Because this is a tough case.
We have an expectation of justice. We can never stop believing that we will get equal justice.
But do you really think you will in this case?
I believe we will get a conviction in this case.
You do?
I absolutely do. This video is horrific.
The initial complaint against Derek Chauvin sheds light on what happened the day George Floyd was killed. According to the complaint, Officer Thomas Lane asked Chauvin if they should roll Floyd on his side after Floyd said he couldn't breathe several times. Chauvin answered no, staying put where we got him. 1 minute after Floyd became unresponsive, Lane again said, want to roll him on his side? Officer Kung then checked for a pulse and said, I couldn't find one. Floyd's son, Quincy Mason, was thankful after the charges were filed.
I am happy that all the officers have been arrested. My fathers have not been killed like this. We deserve justice.
We got all four! We got all four!
At the site of George Floyd's memorial and at protests across Minneapolis, news of the new arrest spread quickly. Hundreds of protesters chanted, many with their fists raised in the air. With the charges behind them, Floyd'S just wants everyone to remember his big brother.
Everybody loves him. Kids and all. That's my big brother. My oldest brother. Now I'm stuck being the oldest brother.
One of the key witnesses in any of these upcoming trials is going to be the passenger who was in Floyd's car. We haven't heard a lot about him, but his name is Maurice Lester Hall. He talked to the New York Times, and what he told them yesterday was that he did not see Floyd resisting arrest. And that's key because initially police said that Floyd resisted arrest, and that's what led to what happened here behind me. There's going to be a memorial service, and it starts later on today. Anthony.
Jeff Pegues, thank you.
Okay. I make videos across. I have 2 channels.
I'm Jonathan Prover, CEO of Jobs.com, and I'm here to give you the
Excuse me, there was an interruption. I paused the video, and the commercial came on. So I was saying that I made a video that YouTube took down talking about the whole fake news episode about George Floyd and the main officer who caused his death, Derek Chauvin. I remade the video and posted on this channel. So now there is news, an update on the so-called fact that these other officers have been charged. So we have a total of 4 officers charged. Well, these officers will never spend a day in jail. Though it may be reported that they will never be brought to so-called justice because the whole thing was faked. If you are new to this and you're hearing this for the first time, that most news broadcasts are faked, fabricated, manufactured ignorance to manufacture racism, to manufacture fake history. The list goes on. To manufacture certain gender agendas like transgenderism, to manufacture ignorance in spirituality, like the fake God they give us in all religions. And when you wake up, you understand that source is not about what they preach to us. We're also talking about reincarnation, which is the main mechanism, the main vehicle to which all these so-called unrelated things are linked together. So just to recap here, the whole George Floyd police brutality is fake. It was faked so that the whole race issue can be maintained, to keep society in turmoil, constantly fighting, to keep up the fighting against between blacks and whites. This is important overall to maintaining the negativity on our planet and our frequency. The same tactic is being used in other frequencies, in other worlds, in other what we would call extraterrestrial worlds. And this can be investigated on your own, depending on how bright you are. You can actually do the investigation by having an outer body experiences. But none of these things are isolated. They're all connected. This whole race thing is connected to the grand game. In order to keep people blind, and some people seem smart, they have PhDs, they have master's degrees, they have college degrees, but it's not deep knowledge. It's not even close to deep awareness. So you have to keep up the lies in order for people not to wake up. You have to keep making up scenarios and fake news like the George Floyd and Derek police brutality incident. I'll say it again. I'll give you a little bit of the detail here. George Floyd was not killed. George Floyd was not killed by Derek. The whole thing was faked. I just went back to take the thing off the screen. The whole thing was fake. The mainstream media controls everything. You're going to be getting, you need to look out for how the media, the elites, key government officials, secret societies, and so forth are controlling this. You need to keep an eye out. You need to keep an eye out on race, how race is being used against us. The current example of George Floyd, faking his death, and giving us a fake justice by bringing the officers to trial. You need to keep in mind that the other things that I talked about are also vital. So you have race, you have gender, transgenderism, the mutilation of one's body, and getting society to accept it. You have religion, giving us a false narrative of God. Most people are vaguely aware that there is a light inside, that it's actually easy to see. By tapping your eye, closing your eye, tapping it, you could actually see it. But most people haven't even thought about that. So you have race, you have religion, you have gender. And when these things fail, those are just examples. When these things fail, when you die, the overall mechanism that's used to tighten the choke hold on beings in this realm and other realms is reincarnation, the reincarnation trap. As soon as you go into the tunnel of white, so-called white light, the tunnel of light, and you enter it, the light at the end of the tunnel, you enter it, your memories are wiped, and you only have bits and pieces, if you're lucky, of memories that you come back with. That's why some people remember their past lives. The only reason why they remember is because of deep love. You hold on to the things that are dear to you most. Of all the things that exist, only one crosses all barriers. Love. Deep love, even if it hurts. So, just to summarize and to emphasize what's going on here, let's go back to the George Floyd and Derek Chauvin police brutality, so-called police brutality case. Let me remind you that you've seen this before. If you were alive, you've seen this before. Rodney King, the officers were acquitted because it never happened. Remember, Rodney King was the black guy who was brutally beaten nearly to death in the 90s. I was in high school then. And then you have O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was a football player, right? And Nicole Simpson, whom he supposedly murdered, was a white woman. Again, the race issue with O.J. Simpson. Anyone who looked at the photographs and is a bit awake will know that O.J. Simpson was a woman, and the wife turned out to be a white man. transgender. And then you have Trayvon Martin. I haven't seen any of these major stories of divide and conquer to be true. That's portrayed on mainstream media. So, this overall is important. If you are to escape these tactics and the overall mechanism that hold you in prison, the reincarnation trap, then you must overcome these tactics. You must tell yourself the truth. You must become your own scientist. If you don't, it will only get worse when you leave this world, because you will be coming back to this world and you will forget you were alive before, because the light inside, the soul inside, is eternal. It's not a gift. It is your eternal right, because you were once upon a time, and still is, all that has ever been and will ever be. It is the demons, it is the negative dark light that has gone astray, so dark and so far into darkness, that has effed up. And when you F up so deeply, the fear in you will prevent you from doing what you need to do to cleanse yourself, to return to source consciousness. And heaven or paradise is real. It's not like they talk about in religion, like the Bible or the Quran or any religion. It is far more beautiful. And a better name that I found is source consciousness. It isn't God. This word God has been bastardized. So until you tell yourself the truth, that's the whole thing about kids being transgendered and they're innocent is just nonsense, because in the eye of infinity, in the eye of source, there are things that happened before and before that add up to blind you in the present. So looking at it from a limited perspective is not going to get you out of this. There are no saviors. You are your own savior. So this whole thing is fake. I hope some of you see it sooner than later, because the apocalypse is happening now. The apocalypse has taken over some frequencies, human and non-human. It's happening right now, and the AI is being used. The artificial intelligence is being used. There's so much to this whole thing. You know what? While I'm at it, I might as well throw in another piece of information, which I need to cover a little more deeply next time. Anonymous, the group known as Anonymous, is also used here to confuse people, those who are somewhat awake. Anonymous, if you look at the symbol that they use, you'll see that it is not a symbol for peace. The same symbol that secret societies use. Yesterday I was watching a David Icke broadcast disguised as the voice of Anonymous. It was they use a computer system to disguise the voice. I am looking for the name of the video. Here it is. The title of the video, if you want to look it up yourself, is called "Most People Have No Idea It's Happening 2020." The voice is undoubtedly David Icke. And this was posted on the Anonymous website, the video. If you have listened to David Icke constantly, or a lot, like I have, if you listen to anyone, you begin to, you know their voice. You know the pattern of their speech. You know what they said before. So listening to this, there was no doubt in my mind that this was David Icke. So I'll tell you right now, Anonymous is not a hero group that hacks secret societies. They are the secret society. They're trying to give us fake hope, like they have with Martin Luther King, a control opposition guy, like they have with Dr. Martin. What is? I just said the same name. There's so many of them. The Indian guy, Gandhi, the presidents. An example is JFK. All these, Malcolm X. Okay, so why would they want to give you a bit of hope? Because a bit of hope keeps you in the system. If there's no hope at all, you would break the system in no time. If you thought that you have no hope of making it, well, you better believe that some people are going to find a way to escape sooner than later. There'll be more suicides. There'll be more just leaving the system altogether in some shape or form. And hence, the whole universe will be right where they need to be. All right, that's it, people.